There are some new details coming out tonight about alleged reports surrounding the Idaho murder suspect. Early this week, People magazine reported that Kohberger ate at a restaurant where two of the victims worked as waitresses. NewsNation spoke with Steve Helling, a senior crime writer for People, yesterday. This is what he had to say.
You know, whether or not his paths crossed with the girls there and whether or not that's where it started, that's something that the cops would know for sure. But we know for sure that he ate there at least twice.
But now the Mad Greek restaurant is rejecting reports that alleged killer Bryan Kohberger dined there shortly before the murders. In a Facebook post, the restaurant saying, quote, "This will be my only response to the story from People. It is not true." Now, this comes as new documents released this week show a laundry list of items seized from Kohberger's home. This includes a red-stained pillow, mattress covers, along with nitrile gloves and receipts. The release of that information came after the judge in the case expanded a gag order on who can and cannot speak to the media, and it now includes the victims' families and their attorneys. So we want to bring in Tracy Walder here, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha. Good to see you.
Good to see you. What was your reaction after hearing the Mad Greek restaurant is rejecting the notion that Kohberger dined there?
You know, part of me thought, okay, well, this is just false reporting then on behalf of People magazine. But then I realized that there is a gag order in place. And, you know, if information did get out, there could be legal consequences for that. And also it can affect the ultimate prosecution of Bryan Kohberger. And so part of me wonders if the owner is trying to sort of walk that back a little bit. So that's really where my thoughts were.
Interesting. And we've also heard in reports that the alleged killer attempted to message one of the victims on social media. What are your thoughts on this?
So interestingly, I don't make a tremendous amount out of it. You know, I get messages to my social media that I don't necessarily know that I have because, you know, if you go into Instagram, you actually have to physically look at those message requests. And so whichever victim that he did message, it could be two reasons. It could be one, they really wanted nothing to do with him, or the second reason could be they had really no idea that he had sent them a message request. But what it does point to is the fact that Kohberger did, in a way, sort of have that tertiary contact with one of the victims and perhaps made more out of that contact than perhaps they did.
At this point, do you think that he specifically targeted one or more of the victims?
You know, I always, you know, hate to hypothesize. I personally do think that he targeted one of the victims. I've kind of maintained that from the beginning. And my biggest reason, and I think Mr. Gonsalves said this, was that he didn't have to go upstairs. That's really my biggest sort of indicator as to why I do think that he targeted one of the victims. That's incredibly risky to do. And it really accelerated his chances of ultimately being caught.
Now, if it is found that he was DMing or trying to message these victims, can the prosecution use any of this against Kohberger going forward?
Yes, I would imagine so, because what it does is it really kind of points to his premeditation. So if you look at sort of that laundry list of things that was found in his apartment, things like receipts, which I know not a lot has been made out of those, but those all point to things like premeditation. If he went and purchased things beforehand, that shows that he really was planning this. And it's the same thing with those direct message requests. Was he targeting someone? Was he planning this? All of those things, in my opinion, point to the premeditation of this crime.
And what are your thoughts regarding the items removed from Kohberger's home in that newly released search warrant?
Yeah, so the reality is it was obviously such a gruesome crime scene and such a bloody crime scene that he had to have taken something with him. I don't care if he wore, you know, the full painter suit into that. And what I saw that was the most interesting to me were actually some of the hairs that were recovered, and then the kind of swatches of pillowcases that were also recovered. And so I'm wondering if from those things they're going to be able to actually place the forensic evidence of the victims into his apartment. So that was one of the bigger takeaways for me from that.
And one last question for you, Tracy. The gag order is extensive from this judge. We now know that more than 20 news organizations, including the Associated Press, are forming a coalition. They're asking the judge to narrow this order. Why have such an extensive gag order? Is this the right thing for the judge to do?
This is unusual. Obviously, to your point, it is incredibly extensive and it's incredibly broad. And I really haven't seen media reaction like this before. I do think that it is very large reaching. I think one of the things that the judge is trying to do is there's a lot of online discussion and a lot of online chatter about this case. And he doesn't want anything sort of tainting that pool of the prosecution of the case. And I understand it from that perspective. However, I do think that this is a bit of an overreach, and especially how it affects the victims and the victims' families and their ability to talk about this case.
All right, Tracy Walder, as always, appreciate your insight and time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.